So this is going to be a question very similar to it on the final exam, and this one's kind of weird. Why? Because it's so easy. Now, what do I mean by it's so easy? They actually give you an answer z equals 1 already, okay? Most of the time we have 3 variables, 3 equations, and we have to do linear combinations to get a certain variable to cancel, producing a new equation number 1. Then you go back and use the one you haven't used and combine it with a different one to get the same variable to cancel to get a new equation number 2 to produce a new 2x2 system. But right here it's a little different because they actually give you the z value of 1, okay? So let's work with this. If they tell you that the z value is 1, you already know an answer. And what could you do? You could also take that z value of 1 and plug it in over here. So the top equation is no longer a 3-variable equation. It's actually a 2-variable equation. So let me rewrite this top equation right here on the side, but instead of z, I'm going to plug in a 1. So it will be 2x plus 5y plus 2 times the z value of 1 equals 6. Now, because I don't have a z value anymore, I'm going to rewrite this equation with the number on the right side. So in other words, the 2 times 1, that's just 2. And I will subtract 2 here and subtract 2 over here, giving me 2x plus 5 equaling 4. Okay? So that top equation, 5y, I'm sorry. That top equation, instead of 2x plus 5y plus 2z equals 6, instead of all of this, it's now just 2x plus 5y equals 4 after moving it over to the other side. And this is an equation with just an x and a y. Now, where did we get this from? We got this from the bottom equation and using the top equation. So let's go back to the one we have not used yet, which is the middle one, and that works out beautifully because the middle one is also a 2-variable equation with x and y. And notice that this one is a 2-variable equation with x and y. So I'm going to take this middle equation, the one I haven't used yet, and I'm just going to rewrite it down here, 5x minus 7y equaling negative 29. And this is a 2x2 system that I could actually solve, okay? And let's do that. Let me zoom in on this. Let's solve this 2x2 system. I need either x's or y's to cancel. I am going to decide to cancel out the x's. So I need this 2x to become a 10x, and I need this 5x to become a negative 10x. So I'm going to multiply the top one by 5, and I'm going to multiply the bottom one by negative 2. So multiplying the top one by 5, I'll get 10x plus 25y equaling 20. The bottom one, multiplying it by negative 2, I'll get negative 10x plus 14y equaling, what's that going to be, 48 positive? Please let me know if I make a mistake because I probably will. I just did. That's 58 positive, not... Let me erase that. 58.
So, I have a question.
Yes, what's up?
Why did we multiply the bottom equation by negative 2?
I multiplied on the 2x2 system. Whoa, what happened there?
Yeah.
Okay, let me fix this before I continue. So the question was, why did I multiply the bottom equation by negative 2? When you start with a 3x3 system, you want to modify equations and produce a 2x2 system that you could solve. And when you have a 2x2 system, this black equation with x's and y's, the blue equation with x's and y's, you need either x's or y's to cancel. So I decided to cancel out the x's. I'd rather deal with 2 and 5 instead of 5 and negative 7, right? I could have canceled y's if I wanted to, but I decided to cancel out x's. How is the only way that the x up here will cancel with that x down there is if I modify them. So I'm going to modify 2. 2 times 5 will give me 10x. So that's how I get 10x up here. So I need this bottom one to become negative 10x. And the only way this positive 5x is going to become negative 10x is if I multiply the whole thing by negative 2. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why we modified it. Now that we have a positive 10x up on top and a negative 10x on the bottom, now it's ready to combine and cancel. We have 25 plus 14, that's 39. We're talking about y's equaling 78. Dang, those are ugly numbers, but thank goodness when you solve this simple one-step equation here, when you divide by 39 and divide by 39, you will get y equals 2. So ladies and gentlemen, we have the y value of 2 of this 2 by 2 system. I'm going to plug it back in to find my x value, and you could plug it into any one you want. I'm going to go with the top one in black. It reads 2x plus 5y, but instead of y, I'm going to put times 2 equals 4. Once again, all I did was rewrite this top one, but instead of y, I put the y value of 2 right in there. So let's work this out. We will have 2x plus 10 equals 4. We're going to subtract 10 on both sides. We will get 2x equaling negative 6. So for my final step, I will be dividing both sides by 2. Divide by 2, divide by 2, giving you x equals negative 3. So what we have here, guys, is the x value, negative 3, the y value of 2. We still need the z value. No, we don't, because they actually originally gave us the z value of 1. So our answer as an ordered triple would be negative 3, comma, 2, comma, 1. And I believe on the practice question, on the practice final, you actually have to type it in like this, alphabetical order, with no spaces between your terms. So that's your answer for this one. Let's take a look at this one also. This is solving systems as well. So I don't know. What do you guys say? What should I start with? What should I do first? This one's weird, right? I mean, we're used to seeing A, B, and C, and right here, for some reason, you don't even have 3 variables in any of these 3 equations. So what would you start with, guys? You want answers. Could you get at least one answer? The answer is yes. You could get at least one answer. Which answer could you quickly get? Could anybody give me an answer just by looking at this? The middle equation, if you look at it, you could actually solve for A and you'll have one of your answers. If you divide both sides by negative 2, if you divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, you'll get your first answer, A equals positive 1. So there's your first answer. So what should I do now? I have A equals 1. What should I do now? What could I do with that? Like think about this. If I plug in the A value of 1, okay, say again. Who said that? Yeah, plug it in where though? On the top one. That is exactly right. So A equals 1, you could only plug it in up here. There is no A to plug it in down here. And you already know that the A equals 1 came from this one. So you could only plug in A equals 1 up here. So this is another one that's really ridiculously easy. Let me write an arrow over here and show 2A, but instead of A, I'm going to put a 1 because I know that A equals 1, plus 2C equals 10. Okay, so I really have 2 times 1 is 2, plus 2C equals 10. I'm going to subtract 2, giving me 2C equals 8. Final step, divide by 2, divide by 2. That gives me C equals 4. So now I have A, I have C, but I still need B. So how am I going to find the B value? Again, it's all about plugging in, right? So let's take the A value of 1, plug it in, the C value of 4, and plug it in. And where do I actually... No, the only one I have to plug into is the bottom one, 2b plus 2c equals 2. If I plug in 4 right there, then I'll be able to solve for b. So let's exactly do that. Let's take the c value of 4, plug it in right here. So I will have 2b plus 2 times, we said c is 4, equals 2. So 2 times 4 is 8. I have 2b plus 8 equals 2. I'm going to subtract 8, giving us 2b equals negative 6. Final step, divide by 2, giving us b equals negative 3. So our 3 answers are A is 1, B is negative 3, C is 4. And on this practice test, you will have to type it in as an ordered triple with no spaces between your terms. So it would look like that, okay? All right, guys, we have a 3 by 3 system right here. And this is the first regular system that we're dealing with that has 3 variables, 3 equations. And of course, we need to find the answer. Now, pay attention to the way they ask this question, though. They ask this question as state the y value of the solution. So they don't want the entire ordered triple x, y, and z. They just want the y value, only the y value. There's going to be a question on the final exam where they specifically only ask for the y value. And the reason for that is if they gave you a multiple choice test with the answers x, y, and z, then you could technically find out which one's the correct one by plugging in the x, the y, and the z, seeing if it gives you 4, plugging in x, y, and z, seeing if it gives you 3. So that's why they don't give you all 3 answers on the final exam. They just say state the actual y, only the y value. Okay, so let's solve this thing, and then at the end of it all, we're going to remember that we're only stating the y value. So let's begin by deciding to cancel out either x's or y's. I'm going to use the top equation and the bottom equation, and I'm just going to combine them to get the x's to cancel. So when I write these right next to each other, it's kind of weird because the x's cancel and also the z's cancel. So this gives us 5y equals 10. And ladies and gentlemen, this could easily be solved by dividing by 5, giving us an actual answer, y equals 2. So that's not as expected. Normally, we get just the x's that cancel and you have an equation with y's and z's, and that's what we call new equation 1. Then we go back and use the middle one and with any other one to get the same variable x to cancel to produce an equation that only has y's and z's, which would be new equation 2. And then you could create your new 2x2 system and solve. But right here, as I was trying to cancel out x's, both the x's and the z's canceled, so I have an answer already. Okay, so what do I do now? Well, let's go back and use the one I have not used. And let's plug in this y value of 2. All right, so I'm going to rewrite the middle one, this middle one right here. I want to rewrite it down here. So it has a 3x minus y, but instead of y, I'm going to put a 2 right in there, plus 2z equals 3. So the middle equation is really 3x minus 2 plus 2z equals 3. I don't want the minus 2 there. Let's add 2, add 2. So I will have 3x minus 2z equals 5. Okay. So there's an equation that only has x's and z's. Now I'm going to use any other equation and I'm going to plug in the y also to also get an equation with x's and z's only. So I'm going to go with the top equation. Okay, this top equation, I'm going to plug in the y value of 2 right here where the y is at. So this top equation, this one up here, I'm going to take it and rewrite it down here. X plus 2y, and we said the y value is 2, plus 2z, plus 2z, let me write my z like that, equals 3. Okay, so we have that green equation right there. And let's solve this, or not solve it, but let's make it look nice with the numbers on the right side. So I really have x plus 4 plus 2z equals 3. And let's get that 4 out of there, minus 4, minus 4. I will have x plus 2z equals negative 1. So this is another 2-variable equation. So let's put this 2-variable equation up here right next to the other 2-variable equation. So I have a x plus 2z equaling negative 1. So right here we have a 2x2 system that I need to solve. Okay, and luckily that 2x2 system has the z's ready to cancel. So I could just combine them and I will get 3 plus 1 is 4 x's. The negative 2z and the positive 2z right here, they completely cancel out. The equal sign comes down and 5 take away 1 is 4. So I have a simple equation that I could solve. Divide by 4, divide by 4. You will have x equaling 1. So we now have an answer x equals 1. And again, we're solving this 2 by 2 system, so plug in the 1 back in here, either the top one or the bottom one. Either one is good. I'm going to go with the bottom one. So that green equation on the bottom, I'm going to rewrite it, but instead of x, I'm going to put the 1, and then I'm going to put the plus 2z equals negative 1. So let's continue solving here. Let's get the 1 on this side over here, giving us 2z equaling negative 2. Final step would be to divide by 2, z equals negative 1. So ladies and gentlemen, I have my, let me highlight them, have my x equals 1, my y equals 2, and my z equals negative 1. So if I were taking a test and it wanted the answers, all the answers, I would write it as an ordered triple. Okay, but if you're taking this practice test and you actually type in 1, negative 1, 1, 2, and negative 1, if you type this in, 1, 2, negative 1, it's going to be wrong. And I'm thinking, what? Yes, this is the answer right here. Answer. This is the answer. But are they asking for the answer? They're asking for just the y value. So what is the y value? The y value is 2. The y value is 2. This is the only one they actually want. So on your final exam, all you got to write is that 2 because they're asking for the y value. Of course, if they would have asked for the x value, you'd put x equals 1. If they asked for the z value, you'd put z equals a negative 1. Okay, so on this particular question, you're just going to write down y equals 2. And that's it.